Europe on edge. France's move toward BRICS sparks global market shockwaves. The world is watching in disbelief. Something historic is happening and it's sending tremors through the foundations of global economics. France, one of Europe's most powerful nations, is making moves that few thought possible, aligning closer to BRICS, the powerful economic bloc led by Brazil, Russia, India, China, and South Africa. For decades, Europe has stood firmly with the United States, its transatlantic ally. Together, they've shaped trade, currency systems, and political influence across the globe. But now, as France begins exploring deeper cooperation with BRICS nations, everything that once seemed unshakable is suddenly uncertain. Inside the halls of Brussels, Berlin, and Washington, alarms are ringing. France's signals toward BRICS are not just about trade, they represent a potential fracture in the Western economic order. The idea that a major European power could even consider integrating with a system designed to counterbalance Western dominance is nothing short of revolutionary. The BRICS alliance, once underestimated, has grown into a formidable global force. With the inclusion of new members like Saudi Arabia, Iran, Egypt, and the UAE, it's no longer just a coalition of emerging markets, it's a geopolitical powerhouse representing nearly half of the world's population and a massive share of global energy production. And now, if France steps closer, it could redefine global trade routes, currency systems, and even military partnerships. Why would France take such a bold step? The answer lies in frustration and strategy. Over the last decade, Europe's dependence on the US dollar, American financial systems, and Washington's foreign policy has created tension among EU nations. Sanctions, inflation, and energy crises have left many European economies struggling to keep up. France, under Emmanuel Macron, has repeatedly called for a multipolar world, one not dominated by any single superpower. So when Macron began warming up to BRICS discussions, analysts took note. During international forums, he has hinted that France is ready to diversify its partnerships and explore trade frameworks outside the dollar system. That's a diplomatic earthquake in motion. Across Europe, reactions are mixed. Germany is cautious, fearing economic backlash from the US if Europe drifts toward BRICS. Eastern European nations remain firmly tied to NATO and skeptical of any alternative alliances. But southern countries like Italy and Spain are quietly watching France's boldness, wondering if they might follow should the global winds continue to shift. Meanwhile, BRICS nations are celebrating. To them, France's interest is validation. It proves that the world is waking up to the limitations of the Western-dominated financial order. BRICS has already proposed alternative payment systems, development banks, and even discussions around a unified currency to challenge the dollar's hegemony. If France joins or even cooperates, that challenge becomes very real. For global markets, this is uncharted territory. Investors are uncertain how to react. The euro fluctuates. The dollar feels pressure. Gold prices surge as traders look for stability. In emerging economies, optimism rises. Many see this as the dawn of a fairer, more balanced financial system. But for Washington, it's a nightmare scenario, the very foundation of Western influence being questioned by one of its own allies. Behind closed doors, discussions are intensifying. The European Union faces a dilemma: support France's independent approach, or draw a line to maintain unity with US interests. Yet, the deeper question remains: can the West stop this shift, or is the multipolar world already inevitable? France's potential cooperation with BRICS isn't just an economic experiment. It's a statement that global power is no longer confined to one side of the world. The balance is tilting. Countries across Africa, Latin America, and Asia are rethinking alliances, building trade links that bypass traditional systems, and asserting independence. For the average European citizen, this could mean profound changes. Energy prices, imports, and global trade dynamics may shift. New investment flows might emerge from the East rather than the West. And France, known for its strong stance on sovereignty, may just be leading Europe into a new era of pragmatic diplomacy, one that values balance over allegiance. The US, of course, isn't staying silent. American officials are reportedly lobbying European leaders to maintain unity and resist the growing BRICS influence. But it's hard to stop a global tide when nations see opportunity elsewhere. The reality is that BRICS represents not only economic cooperation but a shared vision, a world where power is distributed more evenly, and smaller nations have a voice in shaping the future. And that's exactly what France seems to be betting on. Macron's strategy appears calculated, positioning France as a bridge between the West and the global South. A diplomatic power that can speak to both sides, influence both systems, and benefit from both economies. It's a bold move, but also a risky one. If the US reacts with sanctions or economic pressure, France could face consequences. Yet, if BRICS continues to rise, and it is France might gain early access to the new wave of global trade frameworks, alternative currencies, and expanded influence across Africa and Asia, where BRICS investments are booming. China and Russia have already expressed openness toward Western cooperation under the BRICS umbrella. Beijing, in particular, sees this as a major diplomatic win, a sign that even core Western nations are questioning the old order. For Moscow, it's symbolic revenge, proof that Western isolation efforts have backfired. In Paris, the media debates are intense. Economists are divided. Some see this as the beginning of a more independent France finally stepping out of Washington's shadow. Others fear instability, arguing that aligning too closely with BRICS could alienate European allies and disrupt financial markets that still rely heavily on Western infrastructure. But one thing is certain: the conversation has started. And once a major power begins questioning the system, the ripple effect can be unstoppable. Across the Atlantic, US policymakers are reportedly nervous. The idea of a BRICS Plus that includes Western countries would undermine decades of dollar dominance. It would complicate sanctions, weaken the global reach of American financial tools, and create a parallel system of trade that Washington can't easily control. Imagine a future where France trades oil with Brazil or China directly in local currencies or a BRICS coin. Where Europe invests in infrastructure projects through BRICS banks instead of IMF loans. That future is no longer science fiction, it's a growing possibility. And for Europe, already struggling with inflation, energy shortages, and social unrest, the appeal of new opportunities is strong. The old ways are showing cracks. And as France takes its first cautious steps toward the BRICS world, the rest of Europe watches, torn between loyalty to tradition and the lure of transformation. Global analysts describe this as a tipping point moment, not just for France, but for the entire post-World War II economic system. The once clear lines between East and West are blurring. Cooperation and competition now exist side by side. And in that blur lies the next chapter of world history, one where Europe's identity may shift forever. The story is far from over. Because if France truly embraces BRICS cooperation, the message to the world will be clear: the age of Western economic dominance is fading, and the age of global balance has begun. Markets will adapt, politics will shift, and alliances will be rewritten. The only question left is who will follow next? The story is far from over.